Hello. In this video tutorial, I will show you how to do render passes from Marmoset. Even though the software doesn't have a proper way to do render passes, you can still with some clever ways to do that. But before we go into that, I want to just explain how I made up the scene, right? So first things first, I have this model here from Zuccarello. He's a skilled 3D artist, which I got his model from. This is the lowest subdivision. Pretty much what I did is I select the whole object, and this was before, and this was after the soften edges. I think it should come here to mesh tools. Mesh display, there you go. Mesh display and soften edges. You need to do that because I got this from ZBrush, but on ZBrush you cannot soften these edges around there. And it would cause bleeding edge on the next software, which I'm gonna do for texturing, which is called the Substance Painter. But before I do that, you need to understand that the way Substance Painter works is you have this model here. You can go to our attribute editor. Let me clear the history. Make sure that your scale is like you have freeze transformations. Then there's this material here. Each of these materials will be a texture set inside. So I don't want it to be called Lambert, so I can assign a new material. Lambert tree. It doesn't really matter what kind of material you put, just the name is what really matters. So I'm going to put like a full body. Okay. Then once that's all done, I need to export the selection. I will export right here. I will call it render passes. I prefer to export as FBX. In the case of OBJ, that doesn't really matter much, but since it's just one subtool, but if you have many of them, FBX is a preferred export format. Okay, so once that's done, we are inside Substance Painter. And what you want to do is you want to create a new template. We'll use 2K. Then you need to open your object, which is already here. Then open, and voila, your object is here. The focus of this tutorial isn't to texture itself, but I need to show the part, which exactly I did in order to create the setup on Marmoset. So basically, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bake the base meshes. But I already have a higher subdivision. This is the lowest subdivision with smooth shade here from for Maya. So I'm not going to bake the ID mask because I didn't color the UVs. What you can do is you can import the high subdivision. You can change the suffix. This is the default. I'm going to go for lower. This is the lower here, as you can see. And I'm going for NickZ right here. This is the one I have. And the output size, you can put or something else. I'm going to put 2K just for showing the tutorial. So I'm going to bake this, but I will pause so you don't need to wait. Just as a correction of myself here. This is not really the suffix that I wanted, so I just exported it again from Maya with NickZ load. And now I can just pick this up and NickZ high. As you can see, this is the high mesh. This is the output size. You don't need that. It pretty much. Let me see what I need. For this case, we're not really gonna need the workspace. Or actually, improves the way the texturing works. So we're going to go for all of these. You can change these depending on how the baking goes, but this is not really the focus of the tutorial. So we'll just click here and pause. Okay, well, now that it is done, as you can see here, we have normals. workspace normals to help us out. Have also a little bit of ambient occlusion. And you know, there might be some artifacts which, if it happens in this case, you could always try to bake somewhere else or do that. Unfortunately, you know, I have these artifacts on the lips, oops, on the eyes here too. But anyway, point is, well, all I'm really gonna do is I have some more material here, which is skin material. Oh yeah, but before, just a heads up, you can, in this case, I had to redo this to open a new file, because you cannot combine OBJ files with FBXs, so either both need to be OBJs with the high mesh or the low mesh when you're baking, or both need to be FBXs. So what I did is I came here, pick up these two, open the loader, and then, you know, use the NickZ high here to do that, and rename here. Okay. So this material here, skin human, it's available at Substance Share. I think I will put in a link below. But basically, what I'm gonna do is I'm going to put on the whole body here, just so we can have some base color. Also, another thing that you need to do is I also want to show the emissive. So in order to do that, you just click here on your channel, go to emissive, and that should create a RGBA channel here or something. I just want to show, you know, it's possible to separate your emissive lights as well, you know, on your render passes. So in this case, what I'm gonna do is, oops, nope. This is the material view. I'm going to create a new fill layer, and this fill layer is just going to have emissive, nothing else, as you can see here. And remember that if the emissive color is black, nothing's going to show. Let me show you, for example. Just so I'm going to use an alpha. Oh yeah, there's no paint layer, so you need to add a paint effect. So I'm using this alpha here. As you can see, oh, actually something appeared, but it's white. Oh, white. You're painting normal. That's weird. I didn't want that. Just want to paint emissive. If you there you go. If you see here, nothing is appearing because the color of the emissive is black. Black means nothing's going to show. So I'm going to show you, for example, say that, you know, we have a greenish cyan emissive here, and then I put here. What? This is white for some reason. Oh yeah, I think it's because the color of the emissive is like this. No, this is fill layer. Oh, actually, let me scratch that. Just put a common, you know, layer here with emissive. No, it's also showing white for some weird reason. I'm showing like this. Okay, it turns out that the problem was this. It was just the light is too strong, but as you can see, it is that. So let me say, you know, I redo that. Whoops. But then I want to paint something like this here. Can I clear this? Copy layers. Clear. Yeah, let me just redo that again, just with emissive right here. Yeah, as you can see, you can put different colors too, if you want to. Okay, it's up to you, but I'm not really going to do anything too impressive. I just want to show the emissive here. Okay, once you have the emissive color, what you need to do is just, let me show you the post effects. there's this intensity, but there's not much showing here, as you can see. We could go to, where's the environment? Okay, the environment exposure, nope. Environment blur. Well, if you go here to activate pulse effects and you go to glare, there you go. You see that they actually now produce their own light. If you go to threshold, it will increase or decrease. This is like a limit that you have. You can raise the luminance, your remap factor. This is just a preview, of course. Also, I think it also shows some different glare on, say on his gloss here, his opacity. But yeah, this is pretty much it. And filter across, there's bloom too. There's different, types of shapes that the light can have. Vertical streak. Yeah, this is pretty cool. It's up to you to decide what you want to do. But this doesn't make much difference, because on Marmoset, which is the place where we're gonna do the render passes, this is where it will matter the most. But anyway, just let me deactivate this. What this means is now I have some emissive on my texture set. This right here. So once you're like happy with all this, just go to files and export textures. I already did some configuration for Marmoset, and I will show you here. I recommend you to pause this video to take a look. Albedo's RGB, Gloss is pretty much just a gray channel, Metal is just another gray channel, Normal's RGB, MS is RGB, Ambient Occlusion is gray, gray, gray. I'm not sure if this is correct per se, but it worked with me so far. So this is what I'm using. And I'm going to export this to the place that I want. There you go. Want to, in this case, you can go for PNG. I recommend you exporting 16 bits. It's best to work with Photoshop. And, for high quality, I recommend you go for Targa. Yeah. Targa, works the best here. But let's put, 16 bits PNG. So let me export. Shouldn't take long because the textures are not really that complicated. Okay. And voila. It gave me some problems here because I also managed to put opacity, but I did not have opacity in this case. I'm not really going to show you because it would be too complicated. Okay. So now that I have this, let me open Marmoset. And here are Marmoset. So for this, I'm going to import a model, which is going to be the exact same one. Okay. Now, just a tip for when you're working with this: instead of relying on these default materials, you can create your own material presets. In this case, I made one for Substance Painter. Okay. I want now to pick up the imported materials. The maps are here, as you can see. These materials, these are the textures that exported, and they're configured to Marmoset. I'm going to quickly, put down on the Substance Painter. But just as a reminder, the way you can create a material is if you click. Let me see. If you click export material to file disk, let's say that I want to export this light neutral here. I can, export, say, to come here where Marmoset is installed. You can go to data, materials, and already did some, which I'm going to use here to show you. In this case, I want to use this light neutral. It's really good for giving. Do not restate this location. Yeah, you need administrator permission. Just let me double check if it's here. Yeah, unfortunately it doesn't give you permission to stay here, but it can just save somewhere else and just paste and save, and voila, it's here. Just an F5 and there you go, our light neutral. But in this case, there's Substance Painter here. This should be the best for you. If you want to change something, just change reflectivity should be on specular by default, but just put mathoness here. And you can also put an occlusion here. That's pretty much my default material for when working with Substance Painter. You can just click and drag here, and you should be pretty ready to go. Now I'm going to just drag the materials. For example, the albedo I'm going to put right here, and there's emissive too, right? In this case, you can just come here to emissive, put emissive, then in this case put on the appropriate slot. As you see, will appear here. This is not albedo because it's on a different channel here, as you can see. Also, this is emits light. But let me just quickly set up the colors here, and voila, put the maps here. In many cases, height maps for some reason don't really make a difference here, so I'm just going to put them out, and you should have something like this. Okay. Now that we have occlusion, usually doesn't matter, but when you have something organic like this, if you do this, it actually does makes a difference. Again, this is not really what this is supposed to look like. If I were, highly working on a texture, just want to show some of the nuances on how to do proper render passes. But after you've done that, you need to understand that in Marmoset, since this is a render, software designed to make your portfolio, the position of your camera is extremely relevant. So the next step for doing this would be to decide, your render. Okay. After your preferred position, what you would think this will look cooler. In this case, I want to show like this here, and I want to let the light like this because as you can see, there's this nice gloss effect here, okay, which would be important for us to deal with. So, in order to deal with this, you can see that we have different positions, rotations, etc., etc. But that I know of, there's no real way to save this position. So what you want to do is you can go for Notepad and just note these down. But only do that if you're satisfied with this render. So in case I bumped into that, all I can do is just preset up this up. I will quickly just copy these. I guess I can copy. Yeah, I can, and just paste. And voila, fill in the coordinates. So in case you just bump into something, or oops, I changed. These are all here. I'm just going to drag them out on the other screen that I have just to show you. Now, here's what you need to understand. Marmoset doesn't have render passes, so you need to manually do that. It doesn't work like, say, on Substance Painter. I want to see just the color, no lights, and just press C. You don't have that in Marmoset. So, and if you're going to work this in Photoshop, I assume most people do some composition, like put some background effects or change something. So you want the background to be something black, or that you can quickly mask this out. Okay, but there's a quicker way to do that as well. If you don't mind if you don't want to put a black background, which is possible, you just need to come here to sky and change instead of mode. In the mode, instead of being ambient sky, you can put color. Instead of this, you can put just black, and the lights are still showing up there. And it's much easier to manipulate this inside softwares like Photoshop. Or if you don't want to do that, you can also, I'm just gonna leave this as a black color because it's so, I'm gonna save this and save pure white as well, just in case, since these are so, you know, useful colors. You can also come here, I made some alphas for differences. I can come here to, for example, alpha white. Remember, this material which we saved, it's totally non-destructive. We can come here, but this and make the hint completely white, and say a color background. It's completely white, you can see it, but if we turn everything black, and there you go, we have the perfect mask here. And this is what you should do. You also this is the first render pass you need to do, because this is so helpful for working on Photoshop. And after you acquire this mask, before you go to image, capture image, or press F11, you need to go to settings. Put your dimensions. For example, I would like to put this on the 2K. Let's put it in 2K. You could put 4500 if you wanted to, so it can have that really awesome printing if you wanted. But in this case, I'm going to put just as 2K sampling. I'm going to put it to 400 format. I think PNG will do. You can put Photoshop too if you wanted. Just press OK. Now, unfortunately, that I know of, you cannot really put the control the output. So when you but to capture the image, what Marmoset is going to do is it will take this picture and it will pretty much save on your desktop. Let me show you. It's right here, your screenshot. So have that in mind. If you have too much of a messy, you can desktop, you can always come here to, assuming you're Windows, you can come here to desktop. Oh no, there's so many icons. You can just click here and it will just search for your desired outcome. I'm going to give that back because I don't need to, since my desktop is all tidy and clean. And now that we have the mask, we can come here again to Substance Painter, and voila, the material is back. But in this case, you can just deactivate these guys here. Whoops. Maybe reflectivity should stay, or you can do something better, which would be to create a new material and just call this as albedo, and this new material is going to have nothing but your albedo here. I'm going to put actually on lit, because you have none, it's probably not going to show anything. Actually, I think you need to be albedo, and then all you gotta do is come here again to albedo, and there you go, just the color showing. And this is another render pass. You click here, image. It's going to save it to the same settings that it did before. Okay, I will show you right now. Since it has, as you can see here, 100%, they don't change, so they have the same resolution. As you can see, they're both 2K. Coming back here, and this is just one material. I also am going to I just thought it was a very good idea to just come here to your material and export. You can do this, and I recommend that you do. It would save a lot of time. I had to create a new material, then take everything off except the albedo. You can totally do that. Okay, and if you're recommended you do. Also, something that could work too is if you pick up instead of putting the color map, you put your normal maps. There you go. So the normal map is acting as if it were some sort of color map or texture, which in reality is just meant to create the optical illusion that there are details here. But if you want to have this as one of your rendered passes, you can do that exactly. Okay. You can just come here to capture image once again and do that. These are pretty obvious things, but there's some other non-obvious things you can do with Marmoset too. So for example, say that let me import a material here. Created one call, or I thought I did, but it's not here. Okay, let me really grab it quick. So let's say that I just want this glow here from the sun. Okay. Remember that I cannot tell you what to render. You need to set up properly your background. Okay. Now say that I want this render pass to have just this gloss here. Okay. What we can do here is on the create a new aspect clarity one is you can actually I am gonna need albedo. You can just change your color to black. Then you can really pump down the reflectivity, meaning these reflects almost no light. Then you can really tone that down. Tone up horizon smoothing, and you can really see that glow here on his skin, as you can see. And because the background is completely black, but yeah, and should be sure that the material is also black. The color is black. This is much easier to manipulate with. Okay. This all thanks to this Fresno effect here, to the specular map here. So you can really use these to manipulate and do compositions and post processing inside Photoshop. It will be really easy to mask that, separate the blacks from the whites in this image, and it will really give you a lot of potentials here too. Let me see, what else could you do? Oh yes, there's a secondary reflection here. If you put to mirror, you see, oh no, he's like some sort of weird Metal Mario kind of guy, but no, actually can manipulate it in such a way that it's gonna give you some color. For example, say that I want this guy to glow like this, and then voila, it can change. If it goes slightly like this, you can even make him glow in a different way, and boost the horizon occlusion, so on and so forth. You can have different types of glows if you want to as well. What else can we have here? Oh yes, but in this case I'm just using the lights here. Okay, the main sky, not using any of the lights from here. I positioned some lights here. There you go. For example, it really depends on your render. I really cannot tell you what to render, but I have put 4 actually, but the other ones are probably not showing since they are directional lights. In this case, I recommend that you do this, okay? And you should have a material called like neutral, which is pretty much something like this. I'm not gonna need norms for this, am I? Yeah, and look what happens if I put it here. I can actually, yeah, you can manipulate the light better that way if you do that. Actually, I think I will need the normal for this. and you can, oops, you can manipulate the brightness of this, so less bright, more bright. And you can also, you know, just capture this image. Say I want to capture this image and put it inside Photoshop. Okay. Yeah, let me just render this real quick. And there you go. There's you know, ways that you can do that. Or say that, you know, oh, I don't want the white light. Say that I want some neon, you know, light or something like that. You can also do that. Oh, I don't want this, you know, on this side. You can also manipulate like this if you don't want that. It's up to really to you. I'm going to undo that because it wasn't a specific position, just for tutorial wise shows. Let me put the brightness back to 2 and a white light. Now, the last one that I want to show you is, no, this is all fine and dandy, but let me put you back with your main substance banner. Oh yeah, as I forgot about emissive. And wow, what's up with you? Oh yeah, the gloss is too strong, isn't it? That's weird. What did I change here? Oh yeah, no, it's not you. Weird. Oh, why are the normal? Oh yeah, I forgot. There you go. Problem solved. Yeah, but it was too glossy too. You can regulate the glossiness to, you know, depending on the glossiness, you can, you know, see different shades here too as well. I forgot the last part, which is emissive. In case of the emissive, how can I see that? Can, you know, change the intensity here, and the type of glow. That's weird. The type of glow here will depend on the map that you made. If you're going to manipulate this on Photoshop, actually it doesn't really matter, because what you can do is, if you turn off sky, there you go, only the emissive is going to show. So say that, you know, you make some sort of body armor, all around it, and it glows in some parts. All you really need to do is turn off the sky, and because this is emitting the light of its own, it doesn't depend on any source of light in the render. So you can, you know, come here, capture, whoops, and it would just show this light. Also, you can change your, you can sort of change, you know, put some post effects here too. You can put, where are you? Yeah, I can put some flare here. What? It's not working. Will work. Oh yeah. You can change the intensity and so on and so forth. There was a way to do that, which is weird. Oh yeah, the effect I'm talking about is the bloom here, as you can see. In the case of the bloom, it could be a problem, because if you no, it's too big. If you put it too big, it could, you know, since these two lights are so close to each other, it could be a problem if you put too much bloom, as you can see here. And, you know, it could put some other type of bloom too as well. But if you put white, you know, it will pretty much just expand the color of the emissive that you have, and do something like this. You can also manipulate the post effects here. Okay, yeah, it's up to you to decide that. You could just, you know, have a complete showing up camera here. What's this? Sharpen, exposure, flare. Oh yes, the flare. And oh yeah, I'm pretty fine with this render position. It's so cool. Yeah, I totally want that. Well, after you're done with this, what you could do is you could pretty much just turn off the light, the sky, and capture this image as your render pass for emissive, and then you can manipulate that on Photoshop, or put some additional effects here. I think it's better just to manipulate on Photoshop. It's much easier since all the background is. It would be really easy to mask this inside there. Okay, and now for the last part, we need some Zdepth, and I will show you exactly how to do that. But before I go there, there's something else that I want to show you. Say I have alpha green, alpha orange, purple, alpha red. Yeah, I have different colors here. If I put this on my model, you see that this is nothing but that's exactly like the alpha mask, but it's just green. This is very useful for when people want to create these ID colors for Photoshop, for when you have tons of different 3D models in a single composition. It's much easier to just click like that. But just be sure that it won't bleed into one another. For example, this is green, right? Let me put some sort of close green. Those two greens are not really exactly the same, but they could bleed into each other. So if you put this here and go to Photoshop and select, sometimes Photoshop cannot distinguish between two similar colors depending on the spectrum that you are. So you need to have that in mind when you are coloring your alphas. Okay, since this is just a single object, it's not really going to be an easy way to show that, but I think if you understand how to work in Photoshop, the basics, you understand this in practice. It will help you. But the final point now is how to do a Zdepth. Sorry. For this, you should have an unlit white material. In this case, unlit meaning it doesn't really matter if there's light or not. I'm just going to put unlit here. Then also you need to completely turn off brightness. If you have child lights or backdrop brightness, just turn these off. I don't have, but I will show them off. In the case of lights, make sure that they are completely kill on their brightness or they're invisible. Remember that if their lights are invisible, they don't really produce light. Or you could just, instead of turning all these off, you could just make it invisible. Okay, now that you have done that, we need to create a fog element, as you can see right here. As you can see, they already had some effect here. You can already see that there's differences between the shades of gray here. Okay, so after you create a fog element, you need to regulate your distance. If it's too distant, it will make everything pure white. We don't want that. So you need to regulate it in your case here to see what happens. It really depends on what you want to do. You can, take more than one. Remember, you can take more than one, screenshot of this. So you could take one just of this hand, another one of the full body, then another one, kind of brighten up, another one just not showing parts of his hand. And since this is some static position, you can't really, tell much of the difference. But if your character is posed or, is facing a different way, it will create more of an impact in the way. But you can see that this is clearly creating variations in the shades of gray, which is, this part is this part is bright, this part isn't, and so on and so forth, as you can see here. Now, there's one more thing that you need to understand is if you go to your main camera and you go to your post effect here, and if you go to your color, you can also change some things here if you want to, you know, change that. And remember that, you know, just did Control Z 2 times here. Remember that, you know, when you redo and undo things, you really do undo and redo things. For example, if I move slightly my camera, if I press Control Z to redo, it gets bad here. Okay, so the last thing here is you can come here to your curve and do some sort of change. Whoops, what the hell are we doing here? It really can, you know, take off that. You really need to kind of bend it in order to have that effect that you want. Okay, now or something like this, you know, really depends on what you want. Whoops. Yeah, it's kind of wacky here. If you want brighter or more bigger contrast here, if you want, for example. Now, say that I want that, you know, as you can see, there are some, you know, it's visible to the eye that there are some weird parts here. What I can do is, let's say that I capture this image. Okay, let me just capture here real quick. There you go, it's captured. Now let me open Photoshop, and here we are. Okay, as you can see, we have here, let me show you on Zdepth. We have here just a new image. I want to create new, just going to put a black background here, delete this one, and I want to open the one that I just took images from, just one. But I also want my mask, because a mask is essential to work with. If you have like Bridge or Lightroom, this will be easier, but just copy and paste. And then once this is done, you can just do it again with the fog effect. Just Ctrl A to select everything, Ctrl C to copy, and Ctrl V to paste. And you know, you can create a mask here. Then if you come here to your mask, you can select everything, Ctrl A to select everything, Ctrl C to copy, and Alt and click here, and there you go. It will put you to your mask, and then just copy and paste it. Voila, this is your mask. This will be how you would work with something. If you put a black background here, as you can see, you have everything set to work with. Now to remove these ridges, all you can really do is, you can here to filter, blur, do a surface blur, and really work your way out. After a while, it should give you something better. Didn't work, but you could come here to filter and do some other type of blur too. Maybe Gaussian blur. Not put so much, and you know, calculate. Do your thing. Remembering that even though this might be kind of distorted, it doesn't really matter since we have the mask here. The mask won't allow anything to get around that or off from that. And you know, that's pretty much how you do a Zdepth as well on Marmoset. So yeah, pretty much this is the whole tutorial. Okay, so I really thank you for watching this. I hope it was helpful to you. And comment on this video, like it, subscribe to my channel to see more 3D artworks. Thank you very much.